Welcome this week to the Remotely Speaking podcast. We are your hosts, Paul and Chastity Hawkins. So glad you're here. Today, we're going to talk about motivation for remote employees, or what I call remotivation.
Remotivation.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So we've talked a lot about when you work remotely, you need to probably have some discipline,
Yeah, a little bit.
maybe a structure, because self-starter is one of the requirements probably to be a great remote worker.
Correct.
But even the best of us roll out of bed and go, I don't really want it today.
Don't want to.
And so that's what we wanted to talk about, is how motivation may not be the tool you need to be the best remote worker ever.
Interesting.
Yeah, we think.
I think that's a great idea. We should chat more about it. First, let me get motivated.
We got to motivate ourselves to talk about motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. So, a little layer to this onion. Way back when, Chastity and I used to be nutrition coaches.
Mm.
And it's a very interesting thing. It's very well related to managing people and actions and feelings and all sorts of things outside of actually just like eating well. And one of the primary topics is motivation, how to make sure you're motivated to eat well consistently to lose the weight you're looking for. And we found that actually applies very well to everything, actually.
Yes, because consistency is key with almost any goal. You show up every day and you put in the work, right?
Yep.
And so with remote work, that's a little more difficult because you don't have that boss looking over your shoulder or popping in your office. You're not visible necessarily, even though you should be making yourself virtually visible. You're not physically visible to someone in an office. And so having a good structure and a good routine and being consistent in your work environment is important. And motivation, we have discovered over the years, and this is what we used to preach to our nutrition clients, is motivation is not actually the tool you need, because motivation is fleeting. Motivation's not going to be there every single day. You're not going to, shockingly, I know this is going to shock you, you're not going to roll out of bed and go, yes, today I get to email.
I say that every day.
Every day. And so sometimes you might have to fall back on something maybe called discipline or habits. And so that's what we think we should talk about instead of motivation. Motivation's a good feeling, and if you wake up with it, great, roll with it, but you're not always going to have it.
That's right. Don't feel bad if you don't have motivation every day. Like it is not something you can have every single day, even if you're awesome at it. I, for one, actually think I'm highly motivated all the time. To my wife's chagrin, but some days I just don't want to. I don't want to.
Super random aside.
Yeah.
So, previous Army guy here has a saying. Do you want to share your saying that drives me insane? And so I'm like, I'm just not motivated today. And he's like, you know what? False motivation's better than no motivation.
That's right.
And so he pretends to be motivated, and it seems to do some weird Jedi mind trick.
No, it totally works. Let's go on that tangent for a minute, because it's super great, and then we'll actually dive into things that work, although it works really well for me. False motivation is better than no motivation. Absolutely. It works. Why does it work? Because you're like, I can't wait to do this. This is the best. And all of a sudden you convince yourself it actually is, and then you do it. So you can trick yourself by getting super excited. Now, if you're not extroverted, you may hate this, right? But if you have a little bit of extrovert in you, then it works really well. You can just kind of psych yourself out. Yeah, I cannot wait to do this PowerPoint. It's just the best thing I've ever considered in my life. And then you actually get into it, which is kind of interesting. It works all the time.
Yeah. So there you go. Write that down.
Write it down.
Paul's beautiful gem of the day. False motivation is better than no motivation.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But motivation is fleeting, even the false kind.
Sometimes you can't be your own cheerleader.
No.
And so that's when you need to fall back on habits. And so let's talk a little bit about building a good routine or habits and how best to maybe do that in the remote work environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what we found with nutrition coaching, and it applies completely to this, is that setting a foundation for the right habits will allow you to have the discipline you need to get the job done, even when you don't want to. Right. I got this awesome prompt that I add into my to-do-list every day. Yeah, I know. I got to-do-list.
To-do-list. It's an app.
You need to get it. It's amazing. It's free. And I have a prompt that says, like, you don't feel like it? Too bad. It's literally a prompt. I have it. It's like priority number 1 at the top of my list every day. You don't feel like it? Too bad. And I use that primarily for exercise. Somebody's just like, I don't want it. Well, like, it's too bad. Go do it. Right. We don't want to do a lot of things, but the reality is you need to do what's required, right? And for work, you need to do your work and not delay it. So you don't feel like it, that's too bad. But it's really hard to do that unless you've established discipline. Discipline is what's required to actually get the work done. Small aside from motivation, there is a misnomer that you need to be motivated to take action. Oh man, I get started if I was motivated.
Yep.
The irony is it's reverse. When you take the action, you get motivated. Really hard to start working out. What's the hardest part of working out? Starting.
Yep.
Every single time. But the second you get into it, you're like, okay, cool, I'm in it. And you forget that feeling and you get it done. Even if you do a small workout, it's starting. Action always comes before motivation. So my first tip for any remote worker is if you're not feeling like it, start.
Yep.
Just start. Don't think about it. Don't dwell. Don't look at your Facebook another second. Just start. Even if it's send one email, your body will get into it as soon as you start.
Yeah. Action definitely helps.
Absolutely.
And the more action you take, that's how you begin to build the habit. So with exercise, for instance, when you first get started, you're like, ugh, this is awful. It hurts. It's terrible. But the more you do it, the more you're motivated to do it because you start seeing more energy and you start seeing physical changes. You start seeing results. And work is the same way. Like, oh, I knocked out one email. I knocked out two emails. All of a sudden, your inbox is empty. Or you knock out whatever that project that's been hanging over your head and all of a sudden that weight's gone. You're like, oh, now I can get to the fun stuff. And the motivation kind of comes after you've taken action. So just pick something and do it.
And get it done.
So I think maybe next we should talk about setting yourself up for success
Yes, right.
with building habits. Because obviously you're not going to magically wake up one day and have discipline.
No. It's
Is
a learned skill. It really is, right? Just like leadership is a learned skill.
Mm.
We think that people are born leaders. They're not. They're trained as such or put in situations that let them grow. The same thing with discipline. Discipline has varying levels of a little bit of discipline to highly disciplined and everything in between, but you don't get it unless you practice it.
Yeah.
But you get it or you practice discipline through habits. So one of the things we talked about when we were coaches is picking a habit to do for 2 weeks until it becomes habit, right? So if there's a small change you want to make, don't try to change everything. Choose one thing, stick with it, make it a habit, and in 2 weeks, it does become a concrete habit for you, and that goes into your discipline bucket, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, if you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get motivated. I'm gonna I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna do my journal. I'm gonna do a cold plunge. I'm gonna do red light therapy, and then I'm gonna have 3 egg whites before I start." Don't do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Pick one thing that might be your trigger for getting motivated to the work. For example, hey, when I wake up, I'm gonna have this cup of coffee. And when I'm done with that cup of coffee, that triggers me to do my work, right? Make a habit. And I'm totally cool with drinking coffee as a habit, by the way. I'm a big proponent of it.
We have coffee right here. See?
So taking something as simple as I'm going to have a first cup of coffee, then I get started, just gets you into the habit of getting into the mode of working, essentially, like you take action, right? But it's like you start off with the reward. Hey, I'm going to have my coffee. Yay, that's awesome. And when I'm done, I start. Well, we have a thing called habit stacking, right? It's exactly what you think it is. Like you have a habit, it turns into a habit. You have a thing that turns into a habit, and then you stack it, right? And then all of a sudden, you have this nice little pile of like 10 or 12 habits that can create the motivation that you actually require to do work and actually instill discipline.
That's right. So when you build habits and you decide what all you need to build, because everything's going to look different for whatever your job is.
Correct.
But once you've built enough habits, those become muscle memory. And the muscle memory is what you need to fall back on when that motivation just doesn't show up. So, for instance, this month, I'm calling it Maycember. You may have not heard the term. It's like December with all the events, but it's May. So you don't get the fun of Christmas.
But it has the same amount of events.
So we have 87 million school events and work events and things that are they're all crammed in before the summer starts and no one wants to do anything. And so we get through Maycember and then the summer months are going to come and I'm going to want to be by the pool. And so I might have to fall back on some habits, some muscle memory to motivate myself to get ready. So I'll have the coffee, set up my work environment. That's really key for me.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I highly recommend for remote workers to have a really nice, pleasant work environment to go to
Yeah.
set yourself up for success. I have a giant monitor I'm forever converted. I used to be a laptop on the arm of the couch girl, and then Paul made me the command center. So now I have this monitor that curves around half at it.
You have to.
It's beautiful.
The more monitors, the
Think
better.
we work at NASA, but really we just, staff remote.
You might think it's a spatial, it's just a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's email.
Let's email.
It's really exciting.
Let's be real. It's
on a big split screen.
email and PowerPoint.
And so what are some other habits maybe that they could build to stack that muscle memory? So we set ourselves up for success.
Yeah.
We come up with a trigger activity that maybe right after we have the coffee or we eat the breakfast or we exercise, we start work.
Yeah. A big habit for me is planning the next day the night before.
Yep.
Really, really important. It's added to my habit stack that goes into my discipline every day. Planning your next day the night before does two massive things for you. One is it allows you to brain dump everything so you don't think about it at night. Number one thing keeps us awake at night are like to-dos.
I definitely do that.
Oh my goodness.
I have the circling to-do list all night long. And then I dream about the to-dos. So you got to brain dump them.
Got to write it down.
Before.
Write it down. What it also allows you to do is you prioritize the things that you need to accomplish the next day. And so when you wake up, you're ready to go. It's kind of like being on the balls of your feet rather than being flat-footed.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't do the next day, you spend too much time in the morning when you're tired and groggy, like, what do I need to do? I don't know. And you don't do it because you haven't prioritized. Versus prioritizing your day the night before.
Yep.
Here, maybe the top 3 things I need to do, right? Like drink coffee is number 1, right? And then some work.
Always coffee first.
Yeah, exactly. I find that to be highly, highly effective for getting work done.
Yeah, I love the brain dump. And then kind of on the same note, another thing that we both started doing, you actually forced me into this habit.
Highly recommended.
Because I'm the ultimate procrastinator.
True.
So even though I'm fabulous at remote work, I will wait till it's like a blazing forest fire before I deal with it. Sometimes if it's not something that's super fun.
Yeah.
And so that's not good. And so what we recommend is Paul's method instead, which is do the most important or do the hardest thing first.
It's the hardest thing.
So if it's that thing that's like nagging and it's annoying, even if it's not in the grand scheme super important, knocking out your hardest thing makes the rest of the day flow better. Maybe makes you feel better about doing the rest because you've gotten the hardest thing out of the way.
Yeah, 100%. There is no substitute for action. My dear wife is so tired of me hearing this, but she hears it from me all the time, and probably the team does as well, is you got to take action. Action, 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 action. Just got to do the work. Because the motivation you're looking for comes after you do the action. A wonderful side effect of taking action is it reduces anxiety. Why do we have anxiety about things? Because we haven't taken action about it. It could be like, here's a difficult conversation you need to have with someone. You have anxiety about it because you haven't taken the action of getting it done. I have this huge report that's due tomorrow. I have anxiety about it because you haven't taken action. So the only way to get it off your list, to get it off your brain, to remove the worry is to do it, right? And so creating this habit stack we talked about creates the discipline you need. That discipline you need allows you to take the action. When you take the action, you get the motivation. And then that motivation kind of feeds the cycle really nicely. It's the reason when you have someone who works out all the time, they're always excited and motivated to work out,
Yep.
right? Because they've already seen the results of the exact same thing with work.
Yeah. So moral of the story is motivation is not what you need.
Absolutely.
Right?
Unless it's false. False motivation is better than no motivation. So.
Lord. Okay. So moral of the story
That's right.
is you don't need motivation, false or otherwise.
That's right.
Discipline, habits, those are the tools that you need to build that muscle memory. And that's what you're going to want to fall back on those days when you just don't want to.
Absolutely. So my final recommendation for everyone is set your habits. So find one thing to create, to build into a habit. Find one thing and do that for a week or two until it becomes really solid. Then pick another one. Then pick another one. And I think you're going to find in less than 6 or 8 weeks at most, you will have this amazing package of habits that will give you the discipline you need to get the job done, even when you don't want to.
For sure.
That's right.
All right. So let's wrap it.
That wraps up today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Find the habit that works for you. Work on that habit. And if nothing else, just start doing the work. Make the task happen. If you haven't already, be sure to like us and subscribe on YouTube, Amazon, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts so you can get all the latest and greatest from us.
You can also find us on social media, a Remotely Speaking podcast.
That's right. And lastly, if you have a habit that works for you, drop in the comments down below. Talk to you soon.